all about introducing a little bit more flexion, probably a little bit more punchy, quicker. In a weird sense, that's easier. Hinging and flexion are two different things. The club face is now square. Consistent strike to your shots. Try not to hit my ankle. It's such a confidence booster. Beautiful. But these little things can be a lot in your golf swing. Hi everyone, welcome back to another video on the channel. Thank you very much for joining me. My name is Warren Bennett. We've got Trev, I think, sunning himself back there on what is an absolute freezing morning here we got here at Chestfield Golf Club. As you can see from the drone shot, we've got a little bit of a whiteout. It's been absolutely freezing overnight. So I think they said conditions were -10 overnight. So it was a bit treacherous coming in. But we've got a video here for you today all about introducing a little bit more flexion to your wrists during your golf swing. Now, I'm not one, if you've seen previous videos, for all the fancy talk. I'm going to show you what flexion is and what it can do to your golf swing in terms of adding more lag, adding more consistent strike to your shots. That's irons and driver as well. So I'm going to tell you what flexion is and how we can introduce that to a drill and then onto full shots as well. So I'm just going to get set up, make sure Trev's okay. So it's a bit silhouette-y especially from the behind camera, so hopefully it'll pick a few details up of me, but maybe a bit more front camera for this one. There's going to be quite a lot of ball hitting for this as well, so I'm going to show you what to do with this drill, make sure Trev's okay. I'm going to tell you all about it. Okay everyone, so you might see me slip and slide around today, but I really appreciate everyone taking the time out to come and support me in terms of watching this video. I know everyone's time's pretty limited these days, so I really appreciate you taking the time out and watching and commenting and liking, subscribing, especially joining the membership scheme. I'll leave all the details below, and that's enough waffle on that one. So yeah, flexion of the wrists and how our wrists work during the swing. It's one of these things and one of these areas, flexion, where I would say a majority, if not all pros, don't know they're doing it. It's something they may have trained when they were young, but yeah, flexion of the wrist, being able to put our wrists in a position, and so obviously club as well, will really have a massive advantage, because what you're looking for, especially if you're a club golfer wanting to introduce a little bit more speed and compression into the ball, you need to get this club in a position. And if you want to get the club in the position, you've got to get your wrists in a position to set it as well. Hinging and flexion are two different things, and I'll show you what that is. So with any video, put myself in your position, how to introduce this feel into a practice swing. Firstly, understand it and tell you about it, but practice swing, and then hitting balls, let's say a drill, and then onto full swing. So that's what I'm going to try and do today. I'm going to say it's going to be perfect, but yeah. So let's start off with a few practice swings. So, okay, just lift my sleeves up so you can actually see my wrists and the structure of it. Trev's okay for now because I'm not hitting. So a hinge, being able to hinge there, as you can see probably from the front view, is, so there's kind of a little bit of a cupping, and that's introducing a little bit more height, and that's keeping the club kind of up and down. As you can see from the behind view, it's quite up there, and that's what I encourage in the backswing. I encourage the hinge of the wrist because it encourages a little bit natural height and natural length. As you can see there, I've got my club behind my head, but my hands are only here. But the trap to fall into that is, what you don't want to do is, yes, you can keep that hinge, but if you keep that hinge, a majority of the golfers have a little bit of trouble with this club coming out here. So I've still got hinge, but the club is too steep. So this is where flexion comes into play. And any questions that I might have had in terms of length of videos, it's difficult to try and keep a video under 10 minutes because there's so many trapdoors to fall into, and I like to give you them. I don't like to send you out there, just do that and you'll be perfect, because you won't be, because there's different ways, there's right and wrong ways to do everything. That's why the video might be 15 minutes plus. But anyway, stick with me if you can. Anyway, so let's get on it. So flexion of the wrist, of the right wrist, I don't know which camera to really do this on, probably the front one. Flexion of the right wrist is my back of my right hand going towards my wrist area here. So hinging is just straight up and down, you can see there, and the club will just do the same thing. If you were gripping it, you can see it doesn't really change plane, it's just going pretty vertical. But if I was to introduce flexion, you can see now from that vertical position, my wrist is now, and the club is now going to be looking back. That's how you know you're introducing some flexion into your swing. The added ingredient to that is the club will be neutral, if not slightly closed. And if you want to introduce a little bit more compression, a little bit more draw, spin, a bit more inside path, the flexion will give you inside and it will give you a square club face. Because what you don't want to do, you don't want to club inside and the club face open. And that's going to kind of, you have to do very well to square that up then. So this is the exercise. Oh, that's a lot of rabbiting. Okay, so let's start swinging then. That's enough talking. So back swing, left arm parallel. Just going to do a back swing, practice swing for now. So you can see the club quite vertical. Now I'm going to send this club backwards without me moving my hands in terms of down. So I'm just going to get my back of my right hand to my wrist. You can see the club face shallowing. From here we're going to keep that flexion. Keep that flexion as much as you can. We're not going to let that flexion go because you can see what happens to the club face. So just my wrist angle, just doing this, putting flexion into my right wrist, you can see what a massive effect it has on this golf club. Now under speed that will be difficult to hold. That's why we take our time, do a few practice swings and do a few slow motion swings. So from here we're going to keep that wrist all the way through and all the way through. Don't worry about letting it go and releasing right now. We're just going to practice holding on to that flexion. Flexion in, hold, 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 hold. You can see because of the flexion in my right hand, the club face is now square. If I didn't have flexion, if I just kept the hinge, kept the hinge, you can see here my club is now open. So it puts that natural squareness on the face as well. Happy days. So one thing that cures for, it cures a nice path and a square club face. Okay, let's start clipping a few away, and it's up to you how long you want to do that. If you want to take your time with your practice swings, spend a few minutes doing that. Obviously I'm fast tracking it for the video. Let's move on to hitting a shot. Nice light grip, point the club up in the air, keep looking down at the ball, don't look at the club whilst you're doing it. Introduce the flexion. This is phase one because it's a lot of pausing. Look how flat that club face is, that club shaft, beautiful. Okay, keeping that flexion all the way as much as you can. Going to take the pace off it. Lovely, thinned it a little bit. But it's lovely to know that you're doing exercises, that you're introducing better mechanics into your swing. It's such a confidence booster. It's good for me, this one as well, because I get a little bit flicky on it. Okay, so up, don't rush it. Introduce the flexion. Feel like the back of my right hand is getting closer to my wrist there. Beautiful. I can check that with the club shaft. Beautiful. Keep it there. Keep the flexion all the way through. Nice. Not a distance exercise. Don't get sucked into hitting it too hard. Just depositing all the time good swings with this wrist flexion. It's one of these small areas that can really help with a lot of other areas of your golf swing as well, especially strike and consistency. If you want to change your slice, do this. Okay, wrist flexion, point it up, wrist flexion, hold it, hold it, hold it, hold it all the way. That was my best one so far. Lovely. So what this is doing is putting your club in a position at a point of your downswing where it's so important to be in the right position. So up, flexion. When you come down, when your hands are above your right shoe, look at that position. My club is slightly closed, which is not the end of the world. I don't really mind about that. But it's behind. You can see it's behind my toe line. You can see the toe line there, and you can see the angle of the club. It's so important to be in this really late, laggy, and inside path. Okay, last one on phase one. Up, still look down at the ball. You can check if you like. Yep, looks pretty good. Flexion, hold it, smooth on the way down. You don't have to pump. Lovely. Now, if that's new to you, that's obviously, like I've said in many videos, it's going to take a bit of time. It's not easy to all of a sudden chuck something new, but that's why you take some practice swings. Just even put a tee in the ground and just clip the tee, air balls into a net, so there's no worry about a reward. So let's move on to phase two. So phase two, and there's three phases, is we're going to stop at the top, but we're not going to do the pausing here. We're going to do it whilst we're in motion. So we're now adding kind of what looks like a normal swing without this stopping, without this pausing. Let me show you. Back swing, don't rush it. You can see I'm holding up there for at least 5-10 seconds, something like that. You can look back and check if you want. Right, back at the ball. Okay, we're going to introduce the flexion whilst going down. Flexion. Oh, yes. In a weird sense, that's easier. Don't know why. Wowzers, it's cold. So don't rush this bit, everyone. Nice and smooth. Back, hold. Okay, left arm parallel, club pretty vertical, which is good. Okay, flexion, just giving a little point. This is what I want to do. Okay, back, don't rush it. You can see I did the flexion kind of before I started to drop my hands down. If you're a golfer that likes to get away from the course, do some practice swings, you can do these in the back garden. You don't even need a golf ball. Up, drop, through. You don't have to do it as much as I do, basically. You can just do it a little bit and then slowly increase this angle over time, because you've got to be careful with your wrist. You can't go too mad. You don't want to hurt yourself. Okay, for this one, I'm not going to stop as much at the top. Still going to be phase 2. I'm still going to stop, but it's going to be half a second. So I'm not going to look, I'm not going to check, I'm just going to trust it. Hinge it up. Now we're slowly blending. It's really important to do that, and the best way to do that is slow motion. You can see how soft I'm doing this. I'm not hitting this full out. We're going to pull the pin later on in the video. Oh, I slipped. It's a good shot though. I'll try and put some stills up of professionals, and you can see pretty much every one of them are in this position coming down to the ball, and the more you can do it, the better you're going to do. You're going to put some natural lag, natural compression on a good plane and a good path, which is the most important, because if I could have a lot of lag. You can see the angle between my left arm and club there. I could have a lot of lag, a lot of hinge, so I'm setting my wrist quite acutely there, but you can see how steep it is. It's not going to be good for golf, that one. So introducing lag, you've got to have wrist flexion. You can see the difference between the two there, how just having hinge and a lot of flexion with no hinge. Beautiful. Okay, let's speed this one up a little bit. We're still going to pause. Oh, this is difficult to hit off frozen grass. Okay, last one for phase 2. Practice the setting if you want. Head nice and still. Introduce a little bit of twisting still. We're not just doing this with our hands and arms only. There's a little bit of twisting, as you can see, with the belly. Beautiful. Up, flexion. Practice this, flexion. Drop it behind you. Not moving your hands down yet. Obviously that's not real life. Yes. Yes. Work at this at home. Work at getting your hands in this position. That's obviously not real life. It's pretty much horizontal. That's not a golf swing. But you're stretching your hand, you're getting used to, you're telling your hand to get in this flatter position and introduce a bit more speed and no stopping. Hopefully a little bit of that will be introduced and layered into my normal swing. Okay, talking about speeding up and not stopping, let's do it. Oh, it is rock hard. Okay, so talking about speeding up and not stopping, let's do it. Phase 3, guess what? We're not going to stop at the top, so we're going to introduce a flowed swing. So introducing anything which doesn't stop is always, you've got to take it with a pinch of salt in terms of it's probably not going to be as much as the drill, especially drill from phase 1 and 2. Okay, I'm going to give myself a little rehearsal. Point it up first, nice and light. Now, it's not going to be as much. Definitely not going to be as flat as those practice swings, that's for sure, and nor should it be. You're only looking for a little bit. Lovely. Bit Torval and Dean on the feet. So now it's just repetition. Oh yes, I really felt that in my right wrist as well. I'll slow that down. Then phase 3 is your golf swing, but it's a shorter, slower version. And if you've been here before, you know I'm going to talk about speeds. Work on your speeds. 3 out of 10. Oh, it is an ice rink out here. Try not to hit my ankle. Okay, let's see if I don't fall over. Okay, so phase 3, we're going to do 1 out of 10. Beautiful. Love that. Up first, remember, give it somewhere to go. 5 out of 10. You'll see the difference there between the 1 out of 10 and the 5 out of 10. You haven't got the time to do it, so that's why we really break down in terms of speed. Phase 2. Beautiful. Love phase 2 because it feels like a golf swing, but you're really kind of preparing yourself at the top of the backswing. And then you can start lengthening your backswing a little bit. Obviously you don't want to play golf with a half a backswing really. So you can introduce a little bit of a longer swing, probably to phase 3. Lovely. And this exercise, and this shallowing, we call it, that's what changed my golf swing. I didn't understand what shallowing was until 10 years ago. I'll put in description the video that changed my golf swing and changed my life really. It's what's called I became a beginner again. I'll put it in description so you don't need to hear me rabbiting on about it again if you've seen it. Up, flexion, hold the flexion, hold the flexion, hold the flexion. You won't get there. That is 1000% too exaggerated. But we're going to feel hopefully a little bit of that once we pull the pin. Let's go. Oh, take that, considering my feet were nearly lost under me. Okay, last one, we're going to pull the pin in terms of a full swing now. Prepare, if you're on the golf course, you can do this on the golf course. Little practice swings, you've got your friend waiting or you're waiting for the green to clear. Sit there, do a few of these flexion feelings. Okay, up, vertical, not vertical, horizontal. The back of your right hand, for a right-handed golfer, getting closer to your wrist. It's not just up and down, that is hinging. That is flexion. Beautiful. Okay, let's pull the pin, let's go for it. Full swing, normal speed. Oh, I slipped. It was all right though, it went straight luckily enough. Madness. Okay everyone, so thanks very much for joining me. Sun's just going away, so it's good timing to stop. And look, I know these videos aren't short, but they are here for you to understand. I don't want to just stand here and go, introduce some more flexion, you found the secret. It's not a channel for that. There are plenty of channels that probably a little bit more punchy, quicker, but I like to explain the reasons and how, and everyone's different, and I really would like to get into the nitty-gritty of all these things. So to the detriment of that, the videos are a little bit longer, so I really appreciate it. If you've stuck around this long, I really appreciate your support and sticking around for this long and listening. But I hope you get something out of it. And we're here as a channel, or I'm here as a channel, for you to understand your golf swing and introduce these little things. But these little things can be a lot in your golf swing. Like I always say, find the one thing that cures 4. And this little exercise, like I said, we've all liked to introduce a big body turn, and it's important. Remember, this recipe of our golf swing needs all these ingredients. But some of these ingredients are really, really important. It can really change the way we hit the ball in terms of distance, and more important, the accuracy and consistency. Okay everyone, so thanks very much for everyone's support. Hope it's a little bit warmer where you are playing golf, but Northern Hemisphere golf, it's a little bit weird at the moment, but I'll take it. Dry and cold, I'll take rather than wet and warm. Okay everyone, so for myself and Trev, and guess what there, we bid you farewell. Have a great golfing week. We'll see you on the next one. Stay healthy on and off the golf course, and we'll see you then. Cheerio. Come on then. Okay, you've got to catch it for all the viewers, okay? Go on, Trev. I don't want him slipping over, just like me.